Something satisfying has been missing from your life for a very long time, and you have gotten so used to the absence that you forgot what the presence felt like. But in the last 48 hours, something shifted. Venus, the planet that governs everything you desire, everything you value, and everything you attract, has crossed into the one sign in the entire zodiac where her power is not borrowed, not diluted, not compromised. She has come home. On March 30th at 6:47 in the morning Eastern Time, Venus stepped across the threshold into Taurus, the sign she rules, the sign where she sits on her own throne, surrounded by everything she has built, wearing a crown that belongs to no one else, and she will remain there until April 24th. 4 weeks, 26 days of Venus operating at full capacity in the realm of love, money, beauty, and worth. What happens during this window does not simply affect your mood. It restructures your relationship with desire itself. Here is what this video will give you. First, the full weight of what just changed in the sky, and why your body has been responding before your mind caught up. Second, the hidden connection between Venus and Taurus and the massive cosmic backdrop of 2026. And third, a 4-week protocol built specifically for this transit that will allow you to receive what Venus is offering instead of watching it pass by. If you have felt a strange softening in your chest in the last 2 days, if your skin has become more sensitive, if you have suddenly craved textures and tastes you had forgotten you loved, stay here. Your body already knows what your mind is about to discover. Let me ground this in what is physically happening above you. Venus is the second planet from the Sun, orbiting at an average distance of 67 million miles. She completes one full journey around the zodiac in approximately 225 days, spending roughly 3 to 4 weeks in each sign. She entered Taurus on March 30th at 0 degrees and 0 minutes, the very first breath of the sign, and she will travel through all 30 degrees until she crosses into Gemini on April 24th. But here is what makes this ingress different from any other Venus transit this year. Venus rules Taurus. In astrological terms, this is called domicile, the planet operating in its own home, its own territory, its own native language. When a planet is in domicile, it does not negotiate with a foreign host. It does not translate its energy through an unfamiliar filter. It simply is what it is, fully and without compromise. Think of it this way. When Venus travels through Aries, she is a guest in Mars's house. She must work with fire, with urgency, with competition. Her natural rhythm of attraction and receptivity must adapt to a landscape built for action. When she travels through Capricorn, she is in Saturn's domain. She must work within structures, hierarchies, and long-term calculations. Her pleasure principle must justify itself to the god of time. But in Taurus, Venus answers to no one. The land is hers. The furniture is hers. The art on the walls was chosen by her own hand. For the next 4 weeks, she will be speaking at full volume, in her own voice, about her own concerns. And her concerns are not small. Venus governs attraction. Not just romantic attraction, though that is certainly part of it. She governs what you are drawn toward, what you reach for, what you value enough to pursue. When Venus is strong, the question of what you actually want becomes impossible to ignore. You may have been telling yourself that you want stability while secretly craving adventure. You may have been performing satisfaction while an unnamed hunger gnawed at the edges of your contentment. Venus in Taurus does not tolerate that kind of self-deception. She holds up a mirror made of desire itself and asks you to look at what you actually reach for when no one is watching. Venus governs money, not in the abstract way that Jupiter governs expansion, but in the visceral, tangible sense of what you believe you deserve to hold in your hands. Your relationship with money is not primarily about numbers. It is about worth, and Venus calibrates your internal sense of what you are worth, what your time is worth, what your skills are worth, what your presence in a room is worth. When Venus is in her own sign, that calibration shifts. Some of you will find yourselves asking for more than you have ever asked for. Others will realize that you have been accepting far less than you deserve, because you did not believe you could claim more. Venus governs beauty, not superficial decoration, though she appreciates that too. The kind of beauty that stops you in your tracks, that makes you forget what you were about to say, that reminds you why being alive in a body is worth all the trouble it causes. When Venus is strong, your sensitivity to beauty increases, colors appear more saturated, textures become important. The difference between adequate and beautiful becomes obvious and intolerable. This is not vanity. This is Venus reminding you that the quality of your environment shapes the quality of your inner life. And Venus governs pleasure. The simple animal pleasure of eating something delicious, touching something soft, hearing something that moves you. Taurus is an earth sign, and earth signs live in their bodies. For the next 4 weeks, your body will be louder than usual. Its preferences will be clearer. Its refusals will be more absolute. If you have been overriding your body's wisdom, Venus in Taurus will make that override increasingly difficult to maintain. Now let me show you the backdrop against which this transit is occurring. On February 20th, Saturn and Neptune met in exact conjunction at 0 degrees 45 minutes of Aries. This conjunction has not occurred at that degree in approximately 9,000 years. The last time these two planets touched at the opening gate of the zodiac, human civilization as we understand it did not yet exist. Saturn is structure. Neptune is dissolution. When they meet, the boundary between what is real and what is imagined becomes permeable in ways that can either liberate or disorient, and they met at the world point, the degree associated with events that affect the collective, that cross cultural boundaries, that reshape the shared understanding of what is possible. This conjunction is the background radiation of 20. Every transit that occurs this year occurs within its field. Venus entering her home sign on March 30th is the first major benefic transit to occur after that conjunction stabilized. Think of it this way. Saturn and Neptune cracked the foundation of the old reality in late February. For several weeks, the dust has been settling. Now Venus arrives, not to rebuild with the same materials, but to redesign entirely. What do you actually want to build? What does a life of genuine pleasure look like now that the old blueprints have been rendered obsolete? Venus in Taurus will help you answer those questions, not through analysis, but through attraction. You will find yourself drawn to things that match your new frequency, and repelled by things that belong to the version of you that ended when Saturn touched Neptune. There is more. Jupiter stationed direct on March 10th at 15 degrees and 5 minutes of Cancer. This is Jupiter's exaltation degree, the single point in the entire zodiac where the greater benefic operates at maximum capacity. Jupiter has been retrograde since early November, reviewing, reconsidering, pulling inward. When it stationed direct at its exaltation point, it reopened a channel of expansion and abundance that had been temporarily closed. Now Venus enters her own domicile while Jupiter sits on its throne. Two benefics, both operating at full power, both radiating their gifts without impediment. This is not common. This is not subtle. This is the sky arranging itself for reception. The question is whether you will position yourself to receive. And there is a third element that makes this window extraordinary. Since March 20th, every single planet in the solar system has been moving direct. No retrogrades anywhere. No drag. No reversal. No backward pull. This forward current continues until May 6th. 7 weeks of unobstructed momentum. Venus in Taurus for 4 of those weeks, anchoring the pleasure principle at the center of this rare forward flow. If you were designing a window for manifestation, for attraction, for calling in what you desire, you could not design a better one than this. The Babylonians knew Venus by her Sumerian name, Inanna, the goddess who descended into the underworld and returned, the goddess who stood at the gate of heaven and demanded entry. In their astronomical diaries, the priests of Mesopotamia tracked Venus with a precision that still astonishes modern scholars. They knew her 584-day synodic cycle, the pattern by which she disappears as evening star, reappears as morning star, and traces a perfect 5-pointed star around the zodiac every 8 years. They did not track her for entertainment. They tracked her because they understood that her position in the sky corresponded to conditions on Earth. When Venus was high and bright, the conditions for fertility, for harvest, for successful negotiation, for love matches were favorable. When Venus was hidden or weakened, caution was required. And when Venus was in Taurus, they associated her with grounded abundance, the kind that grows slowly, the kind that lasts, the kind that feeds generations. The Romans adopted this understanding and called her Venus, the goddess from whom their entire civilization claimed descent. Julius Caesar traced his lineage to Venus through his ancestor Aeneas. When Roman generals returned from victory, they dedicated temples to Venus Victrix, Venus the Conqueror. When lovers married, they invoked Venus Genetrix, Venus the Mother. When merchants sought profit, They honored Venus for Discordia, Venus who turns hearts. She was woven into Roman life because they understood that attraction is not a luxury. It is a force as fundamental as gravity. Let me tell you what this has been doing to your body. Your throat may have felt different. A slight fullness, a warmth, a sensitivity to temperature changes when you swallow. Taurus rules the throat, the neck, the thyroid gland, the vocal cords. When Venus enters this sign, these body parts become active. Some of you may have noticed your voice changing slightly, becoming richer or more sensitive. Others may have felt an impulse to sing, to hum, to make sound for the pleasure of making sound. This is Venus waking up the territory she has entered. Your sense of touch may have heightened. Fabrics that you normally ignore suddenly feel more present against your skin. The texture of your sheets, the weight of your clothes, the sensation of water in the shower. Taurus is the most tactile sign in the zodiac. It learns through the fingers, through the skin, through direct physical contact. Venus entering this sign amplifies that channel. If you have been craving massage, craving soft things, craving to be held, that is not neediness. That is your body speaking the language Venus is currently broadcasting. Your appetite may have shifted, not just for food, though that too, but for beauty, for pleasure, for the things that make life feel worth living. You may have found yourself suddenly unwilling to tolerate ugliness that you previously accepted. A cluttered corner of your home that you walked past for months may now be intolerable. A relationship dynamic that was merely uncomfortable may now feel unbearable. This is Venus raising your standards not by giving you a lecture, but by refining your senses until you can no longer pretend that what is less than beautiful is good enough. There is one more body signal that deserves attention. Your hands. Have you noticed anything different about your hands in the last 2 days? A slight tingling, a warmth, an urge to create something with them. Taurus is associated with craftsmanship, with making, with the satisfaction of holding a finished object that your hands brought into being. Venus in this sign activates the creative impulse in its most physical form. Not abstract creativity, but the kind of making where your body is directly involved. If you have felt called to garden, to cook, to build, to sculpt, to arrange, to touch raw materials and transform them, that call is Venus speaking through your nervous system. Now let me show you where this transit lands in your life. If you were born under Taurus or Taurus rising, Venus lands in your first house, the house of identity. Venus is redecorating you from the inside out. Your appearance may shift naturally. Your sense of style may become clearer. The way others perceive you is being upgraded. This is a time when your natural magnetism is at its highest. What you attract during these 4 weeks is a direct reflection of the frequency you are broadcasting. If Aries or Aries rising, Venus transits your second house, the house of money, possessions, and self-worth. This is the most material expression of Venus in Taurus. Your relationship with what you own and what you earn is being restructured. Unexpected income may arrive, or more importantly, your sense of what you deserve to earn may shift. This is the time to negotiate, to ask, to set prices that reflect your actual value. If Pisces or Pisces rising, Venus moves through your third house of communication, siblings, and local environment. Your words become more beautiful. Conversations about love and money flow easily. This is also a time when your immediate surroundings matter more. If Aquarius or Aquarius rising, Venus enters your fourth house of home, family, and inner foundation. This transit invites you to make your home more beautiful, more comfortable, more truly yours. Family relationships may soften. Old tensions may find resolution through pleasure rather than confrontation. If Capricorn or Capricorn rising, Venus activates your fifth house of creativity, romance, and joy. This is Venus at her most playful. Creative projects flow. Romantic attention increases. The things you do for fun become more important than the things you do for obligation. If Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, Venus transits your sixth house of daily work, health, and service. Bring beauty into your routine. A workplace that pleases the senses. A health practice that feels good rather than punishing. Venus here offers daily life that actually feels worth living. If Scorpio or Scorpio rising, Venus enters your seventh house of partnership and marriage. This is Venus in her relational glory. Existing relationships become sweeter. New relationships have lasting potential. Negotiations and contracts are favored. If Libra or Libra rising, Venus activates your eighth house of shared resources, intimacy, and transformation. This is Venus exploring the depths. Intimacy becomes more important than attraction. Shared finances may improve. If Virgo or Virgo rising, Venus transits your ninth house of expansion, travel, and higher learning. Beauty calls you outward. A desire to travel, to learn, to encounter new perspectives. If Leo or Leo rising, Venus enters your 10th house of career and public reputation. Your professional image receives an upgrade. Opportunities may arrive through social connections. This is a time to be seen. If Cancer or Cancer rising, Venus activates your 11th house of community and friends. Social pleasures increase. Friendships become more satisfying. Group activities feel more enjoyable. If Gemini or Gemini rising, Venus transits your 12th house of solitude and spirituality. This is Venus at her most private. Pleasures may come through retreat, through meditation, through the secret garden of your inner life. Here is your protocol. 4 weeks, 4 practices. Week 1, March 30th through April 6th, is the week of inventory. Venus has just entered Taurus. She is taking stock of her domain. Walk through your home and notice what pleases you and what does not. Open your closet and notice which clothes make you feel beautiful and which ones feel like a costume. Review your finances with curiosity. How much do you have? How much do you need? How much do you want? And most importantly, do you believe you deserve to have what you want? Write down your answers. This is about seeing clearly. Week 2, April 7th through April 13th, is the week of release. Now that you have taken inventory, you know what does not belong. Remove 3 objects from your environment that no longer bring pleasure. Cancel 1 commitment that drains you more than it feeds you. Let go of 1 belief about what you are allowed to want. Write the belief on paper. Burn it safely, or release it into running water. Tell no one what you are releasing. This is between you and Venus. Week 3, April 14th through April 20th, is the week of invitation. The space you cleared is now available for something new. Actively invite beauty. Buy yourself flowers. Cook a meal that takes longer than necessary because the process itself is pleasurable. Wear something beautiful even if no one else will see it. Most importantly, ask for something you want. Not demand. Ask. Let someone know that you have a desire, and you are open to receiving. Venus favors those who make their desires known. Week 4, April 21st through April 24th, is the week of integration. Venus is preparing to leave Taurus. Whatever has shifted in your relationship with value and beauty, this is the week to stabilize it. Create 1 anchor, a physical object, a practice, something tangible that will remind you of what you learned. Place this anchor where you will see it daily. When Venus returns to Taurus next year, you will not be starting from scratch. Venus in Taurus is forming a stabilizing trine to Pluto in Aquarius throughout her journey. When Venus trines Pluto, surface attraction meets depth. The things you want are not frivolous. They are connected to your power, your transformation. What you allow yourself to enjoy over the next 4 weeks has the capacity to heal something that logic could not touch. On April 18th, Venus reaches 18 degrees of Taurus, forming a perfect sextile to Neptune at 18 degrees of Aries. This is one of the most romantic aspects in astrology. It blurs the boundary between love and dream. On this date, your capacity to see beauty where others see ordinary increases. Art may move you to tears. Music may transport you. If you have a creative project, April 18th is ideal. If you are hoping for a romantic encounter that feels like fate, mark this date. Venus does not force. She does not push or coerce. She attracts. She creates conditions where what is meant to come to you can find its way. For the next 4 weeks, you have access to a frequency of ease, of pleasure, of allowing rather than striving. This does not mean you do nothing. It means you let your actions be guided by desire rather than fear, by attraction rather than obligation, by what feels beautiful rather than what feels necessary. Most people will walk through these 4 weeks without realizing what is available. They will continue pushing, settling for less than they deserve, because they have forgotten that another way exists. But you stayed. Something in you recognized the signal before your mind could name it. Your task is simple. Stop blocking it. Stop arguing for your limitations. For 4 weeks, let yourself want. Let yourself receive. Let yourself discover that the pleasure you have been postponing is not a reward for suffering. It is your inheritance for being alive. If something softened in you while you listened, write it in the comments. Your words become a signal for the next person scrolling tonight. If someone's face came to mind, someone who has been settling, send them this video. Subscribe and turn on notifications because Venus will not be in Taurus forever.